Okay, I am back. Well, that was stressful. All right, I'm going to try to bring the C-SPAN feed in. I'm going to try. All right, so let's try. Let's see here. Here we go. C-SPAN. By the way, if you're looking, it's called Sotu. This is the one. I'm so sorry about this. I don't know why it's not really working. Okay. I'm bringing in the C-SPAN feed now. Here. Okay. If this crashes, let me just say this. If this crashes, I will stay in this chat. I will watch it on C-SPAN and I will stay in this chat. If it does work, great. If it doesn't work, I promise I will stay in this chat. I will stay chatting. Sorry about it. I don't know what happened. I started a new one. So here we are. Well, this is stressful, a little sweaty. So this is where we're at. If this doesn't work, I'll go back into the chat just as a reminder to people. So, State of the Union. I think this is a critically important speech for Joe Biden. Let's just say that at the top. I think mostly it's because he's got to sort of show that he's able to give a speech that lasts an hour long without screwing up or fumbling over himself or doing all that stuff. So I think, by the way, there's the Supreme Court justices. Not all of them always come. The Chief Justice, John Roberts, is almost always there. Anyway, we're minutes away here. I would assume Biden will come in. He'll be announced. For people who weren't here before, here's what I want to say. If this were, oh my God, that's George Santos. Well, we've really hit rock bottom, people. George Santos on the C-SPAN cameras. He's there. People asking, he's there because he has lifetime floor privileges as a former member. So I guess he can just show up. He's there because he's an attention hog, and this is a chance for him to get attention. What my plan is for this is, hold on. C-SPAN just turned on the closed captions. I'm going to turn them off. My plan for this is I'm going to mostly just watch the speech. I'm going to occasionally interrupt and say something. I'm going to take the sound down and then come back and hear the sound. So you should be able to watch the whole speech on this thing. I'm going to stay mostly active in the chat throughout, but in sort of critical moments, I'm going to try and jump in. That's my plan, at least. So here we are. Thank you. Gosh, I really hope this works. Now I'm all stressed out that it's not going to work, but thank you for at least trying. I really want to do this in the future. I think this is like a fun thing to do for me and for you all. If you haven't become a member or a subscriber to my channel, I hope you do. I'm making daily videos. Somebody said have a beer. This is what I'm having. LaCroix still hasn't sponsored me, but I'm continuing to wait. Okay, so anyway, big speech for Biden. There's Joe Manchin, by the way. I don't know if you can see him sort of in the middle there. Big speech for Biden. There's Josh Hawley. He's not running currently. See what I did there with the running? There's Marco Rubio. He does not look happy to be there. So I'm going to do a little running commentary in the chat and on the thing. So let me just pot up the sound. That's a technical term. Let me just make the sound go up a little bit here. Room chatter. Oh, sorry. Take it down a little bit. So this is a really there's such a social aspect to this. This is like the biggest night on Capitol Hill. Okay, I think we're gonna get the announcement that the cabinet is coming. They're usually first, and then Biden. All right, let's listen in here. By the way, as you can see, Mike Johnson is in the house next to Kamala Harris at the dais. Watch their expressions for how things are going. There's Manchin again. Sheila Jackson Lee is behind him. By the way, there is a real job that you are a State of the Union spotter for TV. So you like see everybody and you say like, oh, there's so-and-so. And then TV runs like Chief Justice John Roberts. And I think he's talking to Rick Scott, of all people, of Florida. By the way, thank you for all the people who are coming into this chat tonight. It brings me great joy. I saw Australia. I see Argentina. Wow, it's so great. There he is, Matt Gates. Look at that hair. How much product is in that hair to get it to go? Dallas, Texas. How much product does it get to go up that high? Truly remarkable. Truly remarkable. Canada, Indianapolis, Nuremberg. So great. Makes me happy. Westchester County. Northern Canada. I love it. It makes me really happy. Thank you all. It's such a cool community. Spread the word, by the way. If other people are like wanting to watch the State of the Union with my hilarious commentary to go outside. Oh, I will not disappoint you. How is the sound? Is the sound good? Not too much popping of the peas, I hope. I'm trying to stay not too close to the microphone. You can hear me over the din here. Okay, sound is good. Okay, that's good. Bernie Sanders there, and that's Raphael Warnock, who's right. To his left, actually. Oh, something hilarious. Bernie Sanders laughing it up. I would assume this will start in the next 1 or 2 minutes. Usually the cabinet will get introduced. There's Ketanji Brown Jackson in the background there, Supreme Court Justice. The cabinet will be introduced, I believe, and then after that, you'll get Biden. And there'll be, by the way, another fun thing about this is there are people, members of Congress, who sit on the aisles from like 3 o'clock on, just so they're on the aisle to shake the president's hand. Yes, that is a real thing that happens. Wow, Eric Krinsky says it's 3 a.m. currently in Poland. Dude, you are a warrior for staying up and watching this. There's Maxine Waters and Jim Clyburn. 2 white guys I don't know. Sorry, I don't know every member of Congress. I know many of them, but let's be honest, a lot of them kind of look like those dudes. Oh, Tuberville. Right, that was Tuberville. Yes. I'm the right. Tommy Tuberville, the one right. I should know him. Sorry about that, folks. I'm doing this on the fly. There's Pat Leahy of the Batman movie. He's also senator from Vermont. So, man, this is a big night. I'm excited. I love politics. I love that you guys are joining me doing this. This is my first time doing it. I'm going to keep trying to do these live events because I think they're fun. I think it's kind of cool and interesting. So I'm going to keep doing them as long as you guys do it. There's Jerry Nadler from New York. And yes, I do know a lot of them. There's Tom Cotton waving to someone. Ted Cruz, I see. I see Bill Cassidy from Louisiana there. He kind of looks like an eagle. Sorry, I'm pointing on my screen. Bill Cassidy kind of looks like an eagle. Yeah, so you may know her, Nancy Pelosi, former Speaker of the House. So, hey, I'm really trying to grow this channel. So I'm doing events like this to try to grow it. Okay, here, I think we're getting... So there's Doug Emhoff, that's the second gentleman. That's Kamala Harris's husband right there, who's walking into the box. He's up above the chamber. But I'm trying to grow this channel. So if you can help me, I would love if you can help me. Spread the word. I'm making daily videos. I think they're good, kind of fun. Let's see. Hey, if by the way, if you guys have questions, let me know. Like I'm happy to try to answer them while we're waiting for Biden to come in. Again, Mike Johnson and Kamala Harris. Like, just let me know if there's questions you have to ask. Again, I think I made this point on the other stream that's now dead. I'm trying not to be Tony Romo during the NFL games. I'm trying not to talk the whole time. I'm trying to like let you guys hear Biden speak and then kind of pop in and pop out. I'm going to be in the chat throughout the whole time. There's Jill Biden, First Lady of the United States, next to Doug Emhoff and a bunch of people I honestly do not know, though I'm sure we'll get introduced. Steny Hoyer. Love him. Steny Hoyer's been in Congress forever. A lot of white being worn on the Democratic side by women on the Democratic side. I'm sure that is on purpose. Joe Biden, what did I say? Here's a good question from Johnny Heritage. Mike Johnson says, no heckling. What do I think? There will probably be heckling. Okay, so Mike Johnson, here we go. Let's listen in.
Mr. Speaker, the President's Cabinet.
Anthony Blinken, right there, Secretary of State. Janet Yellen. There's Blinken, Secretary of State, leading off. Now, see these people on the aisles? These people have been waiting for hours. Hours. Oh, who's the designated survivor? I don't know the answer to that. Designated survivor is the one member of the cabinet who is not included, who does not come in the event that there's like a nuclear explosion or something, and the Congress is and the White House is the administration is wiped out. There's one thing there. So this is the cabinet coming in, and then we will get Biden. What am I looking for? Asked Emeritus in the speech. Look, I think the most important thing is not anything that Joe Biden says, but how he says it. How does he look? 81? Does he look like he's flagging, or does he look good? Does he look strong? Last State of the Union, I thought he was really good. So I think he has to repeat that. Look, they don't do a ton of stuff in public with Joe Biden. They just don't. This is a moment where they are. And it's a big opportunity. Some people said Pete Buttigieg is the designated survivor. Nope, he's right there. Secretary of Transportation. Let's see. That's Tom Vilsack, Secretary of Agriculture. A lot of Buttigieg because people know him. That's why the C-SPAN cameras find him. Mayo Pete. That was Deb Haaland, who just walked by, former member of Congress, now the Secretary of the Interior. I know I'm nerdy sometimes. Alejandro Mayorkas, impeached by the House, Homeland Secretary. So there's the Republican senators. That's who you're looking at there. That's mostly Republican senators. There's Ted Cruz there, John Thune. That's Jennifer Granholm, the former governor of Michigan, behind Buttigieg. But yes, these people on the aisles wait for hours to be on the aisles. They wait for hours. Oh, this is a good question. M.H. Talbot asked, do the networks run the C-SPAN video? So they all have a pool feed. So there's one camera that feeds out to all the networks. So they all have the same feed for moments like this. That's a good question. That, I think, is Lloyd Austin, who has had a ton of health problems, the Secretary of Defense. But he looks okay. That was Merrick Garland, guy with one on his plate next to Lloyd Austin, the Attorney General. Let's see. So they're all making their way. Hello, good to see you. I've missed you. Wonderful. And again, I think it's important here is like this is like a big high school. That's a good way to think about it. This is like a big high school. They all kind of know each other. Some like each other. There's rivalries, all that kind of stuff. So like that's kind of what you're getting here is like, it's like when your whole high school gets together and you have an assembly and the class president speaks. That's sort of like that. Yes, good point. Average high school is 2,000 people. Yeah, so let's see. There's Merrick Garland again. So we're chatting, and I would assume here in a minute, Biden will be announced and then make his way down to. Thank you. Great Dark Spot says the Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona is the designated survivor tonight. Thank you so much. Fun fact: that's kind of like Battlestar Galactica, where the Secretary of Education winds up being the president after the aliens attack because she's like on Mars. She's like on the moon for a meeting when they attack. I think, right? Secretary of Education. Do I have that right, people? Am I wrong? Am I right? I think that's right. We're all Cylons. I love that show. Okay, I'm right. Thank you, Dragonfire. I'm right. She was the Secretary of Education. Okay, Battlestar Galactica, such a good show. Man, I love that show. Lauren Boebert in the house. Lauren Boebert, wearing blue, saying she will not necessarily abide by Mike Johnson's pledge to not heckle the president. So, we'll see how that shakes out. By the way, I hope you guys like this. It's kind of fun for me. I mean, this is what I do anyway, is watch these things and think weird thoughts to myself. So I'm glad to do it with other people. So I really want to keep doing this. So let's hope it all works. Okay. Let's see. James Maynard said, "Tell him to hurry the hell up." So I was like, dude, You and me both. I'm tired. I get it. I'm tired. All right, let's see. I think we're getting to there's Sheldon Whitehouse from Rhode Island, Democrat, best named senator, Sheldon Whitehouse, incredible. And obviously Elizabeth Warren there as well. Let's see. Chris, does your family usually watch Sotu or is it just you? Oh, it's just me. they like doing other stuff. Yeah, they're not watching that. Amelia N said, "This is great. Thanks, Chris. Thank you. It's fun for me too." And like I said, once the speech actually starts, I promise I will not talk over the vast majority of it. I will try to just pop in here and there and let you guys listen to it mostly and answer questions and stuff in the chat and offer a few observations in the chat. Okay, here we go. Okay, there he is.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
And here we go. Now, this is going to take a while because he's going to shake a lot of hands. And remember, Biden is a creature of the Congress. So he knows all these people. And so he's going to take his time getting there. I would say this is a minimum 5-minute process. So I think these are Republicans he's talking to. Not clear what that's Chuck Schumer, by the way. Amazing glasses on Chuck Schumer. That's Chuck Schumer behind him. I always thought this would be awkward. Just like making weird conversation with people. This is like my nightmare. They're like all like, hey, remember that thing that you said that time? Like Chris Farley interviewing Paul McCartney on Saturday Night Live. God, that was the best. Let's see. Bad lip reading. I should do that. That would be classic. The thing that I always notice about this is like, whatever the president says is always the most hilarious thing to whoever he's talking to. They like throw their heads back and laugh and laugh and laugh. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. Not everybody says something that's that funny. Again, he's like 1/8 of the way into the chamber right now. But, And then I said, go get me an ice cream. No, I don't really know. So he's kind of going back and forth. These are Democrats here that he's talking to. There's Schumer. There's Steve Scalise. Mitch McConnell behind Steve Scalise. Steve Scalise is the second-ranking Republican in the House. I've just noticed that I think when I panicked when the first feed died, I really was sweating it up. I finally stopped sweating, so that's a good thing. You don't want a sweaty me on watching this. Kind of gross. Now, I see a lot of people with the number 153. I don't know what that means. Does anyone know what that means?
Look over here.
Oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene got the Make America Great Again on hat with the red. I think that was her. Yeah, that's totally her right there. She's going to say something. Hold on. This could be a moment. She's got a pin. She's holding something up. He's trying to ignore her, which is people are touching him. He sees her, so he's definitely ignoring her. So he ignored her. Okay, he ignored her. He's past her now. But yes, so I think she has a Say Her Name shirt on. I think that's, oh no, I can't totally read it. But that is Marjorie Taylor Greene with the hat on. Okay. 153 days is how long the Hamas-Israel war has been. Okay, that's super helpful. And yes, for somebody who said Marjorie Taylor Greene is a troll, yes, she is. She's our sort of modern day member of Congress. Like, she's just trying to troll for clicks. She's got her phone on, and she's holding up her button, and she's gonna post that, and that's gonna be clicks. Juan Fables, Chris, is it all about stamina or not fumbling the teleprompter? Probably a little bit of both. Say her name, Mr. President. I think she's talking about Laken Riley, the woman who was killed by an undocumented immigrant. I think that's what she's talking about. So is it all about stamina or not fumbling the teleprompter? A little of both. I mean, I think it depends sort of how she, that's Al Green, by the way, that he's talking to right now from Texas. I think it's sort of how he, looks. Does he look energetic? Does he sort of do, I mean, he's reading off a teleprompter, but like, how does he do reading off a teleprompter? Does he look like he's with it? These are all subjective things. I get it. Al Green got the Texas tie on, getting a selfie. more of an ussy. Mr. President, here we go. Picture. Oh my gosh. This is going to take forever, man. And they have to keep clapping. Oh, there's Joe Manchin and Mitt Romney together. There's Biden going over. He's probably saying, "Hey, Joe, thanks for not running for president as an independent. I really appreciate that. You did great. You and Mitt would have been a good ticket." Sarah H., how long does the average speech last? So it's usually a little bit over an hour. Typically, Kirsten Gillibrand from New York. And I think that's Chris Coons behind her from Delaware. So I would say it's usually about an hour. Biden went 72 minutes last year. You know who gave short State of the Union speeches? George W. Bush. Donald Trump gave really long ones, like 112, like an hour and 20 minutes. Biden, like just a little bit over an hour. Yes. I think it is. By the way, that shirt that Marjorie Taylor Greene on, yeah, I think it's about like in Riley. It said "say her name," I think, on the shirt. I'm trying to figure out where he is and if he's close to the dais. By the way, dais is an amazing word. I like to use that as much as I can. You don't get to use it all that much. Gosh. Okay, so where is he? Where's the front? So he's about 2/3 of the way there. Come on, people. You don't need a picture with him. Like, do you really have to take a selfie? Like, come on. Oh, the 4 more years chant. Can you hear it? One of my favorite things about State of the Union is how the minority party, the party not the president's party, just sits on their hands a ton of the time. they don't engage at all. It's so dumb. Like one side standing and clapping, and the other side just sitting on their hands. So dumb. There's Biden talking to John Roberts, Ketanji Brown Jackson, who's got to be up close. He's got to be up close here because they're obviously seated in the front. Okay, Neil Gorsuch is there. Neil Gorsuch, sneaky tall. Interesting. There's Sonia Sotomayor. All right. The applause is like dying off. You can only clap for so long. All right, so he's making his way up. Again, I will jump in when I think there's an important point. I will try not to jump in too much. I will jump in when there's an important point. I want you to hear most of the speech with a few interruptions from me. I will be in the chat if you have questions, if you have thoughts, if you need snark. I'm happy to provide that, always. Let's see. All right, so the people who are sort of accompanying Biden up are permanent staff of the House. That's Tom Carper from Delaware, former senator. All right, Joe, let's get this done. I need my beauty sleep. Okay, we're getting there. He's greeting every person. Start the speech. Chris, who will cut a better promo tonight? Biden tonight or The Rock on SmackDown? The Rock on SmackDown. No one cuts promos like The Rock. No one. Hey, Shelby Snyder, thanks for doing this, Chris. I've been sharing your Substack with friends. This way tonight I'm watching with friends through this. Awesome. I totally agree. Yeah, thank you for sharing my Substack, by the way. I really appreciate that. That's great. Oh, whoops. Yes, Carper is still a senator. Sorry. I called him retired, former senator. Sorry, I'm wrong. Yes, thank you for correcting me. Let's see. And yeah, Chris Ryder says this is so much better than watching on CNN, PBS, CBC, Fox. I think so too. It's fun, right? Okay, here he goes. So he comes up. He will hand a copy of the speech to the speaker. Yep, there's that. Mike Johnson. Hey, how you doing? Hey, we don't like each other. And then he'll hand one to Kamala Harris. There it is. Just go ahead and read through that. By the way, people ask us, reporters get some opening remarks, like some pieces of the speech, but you don't get the whole thing until he starts speaking. All right, here he goes. Excuse me. Again, I will try to say pretty quiet. I will only jump in when I think it's necessary. Okay, and remember, we're going to get the The State of the Union is fill in the blank. I'm going to say strong. Sheldon Whitehouse. That's Dick Blumenthal, by the way, to Sheldon Whitehouse's left from my home state of Connecticut. I always thought he looked kind of like a Batman villain. You can't see anyone. When you look up like that in all those lights, you can't see anyone. Whoever he's pointing to, he didn't really see. Not a thing. Always wanted to bang a gavel. Bump, 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 bump. Bump, 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 bump.
Good evening.
All right, here we go. So he's starting at 9:26 for people counting at home.
Good evening. If I were smart, I'd go home now. Mr. Speaker, Madam Vice President, members of Congress, my fellow Americans, in January 1941, Franklin Roosevelt came to this chamber to speak to the nation, and he said, "I address you at a moment unprecedented in the history of the Union. Hitler was on the march. War was raging in Europe. President Roosevelt's purpose was to wake up Congress and alert the American people that this was no ordinary time. Freedom and democracy were under assault in the world. Tonight, I come to this same chamber to address the nation. Now, it's we who face an unprecedented moment in the history of the Union. And yes, my purpose tonight is to wake up the Congress and alert the American people that this is no ordinary moment either. Not since President Lincoln and the Civil War have freedom and democracy been under assault at home as they are today. What makes our moment rare is that freedom and democracy are under attack both at home and overseas at the very same time. Overseas, Putin of Russia is on the march, invading Ukraine and sowing chaos throughout Europe and beyond. If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not. But Ukraine can stop Putin. Ukraine can stop Putin if we stand with Ukraine and provide the weapons that needs to defend itself. That is all. That is all Ukraine is asking. They're not asking for American soldiers. In fact, there are no American soldiers at war in Ukraine, and I'm determined to keep it that way. But now, assistance to Ukraine is being blocked by those who want to walk away from our world leadership. It wasn't long ago when a Republican president named Ronald Reagan thundered, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." Now my predecessor, a former Republican president, tells Putin, quote, "Do whatever the hell you want." That's a quote.
That's a quote.
A former president actually said that, bowing down to a Russian leader. I think it's outrageous, it's dangerous, and it's unacceptable.
Mike Johnson looks like he's in pain. By the way, I assume that the people behind the president practice sort of their faces.
America is a founding member of
He doesn't
NATO,
look happy.
the military alliance of democratic nations created after World War II to prevent war and keep the peace. And today, we've made NATO stronger than ever. We welcomed Finland to the alliance last year.
Finland.
And just this
Finland
morning,
crowd here.
Sweden officially joined, and their minister is here tonight. Can they stand up?
I will admit, I did
Welcome.
not know that was the Finnish prime minister next to
Welcome,
Dr. Joe
welcome.
Biden. Now I do. You learn something new every day.
And they know how to fight.
Oh, yes, the Finnish. They
Mr.
love
Prime
to fight.
Minister,
Everyone
welcome to
always says
NATO,
that
the
about them.
strongest military alliance the world has
Sweden.
ever
That's the
seen.
Swedish prime minister. Sorry. Oh, I screwed
say
that up.
this to
They love
Congress.
fight. Sweden.
We have to stand up to Putin. Send me a bipartisan national security bill. History is literally watching. History is watching.
By the way,
The United
notice how many
States
times
walks
Biden
away.
says literally.
It will put Ukraine
That's
at
one.
risk. Europe is at risk. The free world will be at risk, emboldening others to do what they wish to do us harm. My message to President Putin, who I've known for a long time, is simple. We will not walk away.
You get some Republicans standing for
We
that
will not
line,
bow down.
as you can see over on the sort of far side of your screen there. Mike Johnson looks like somebody's
I will not
jabbing him in the
bow
leg
down.
with an anvil. Well, he is nodding.
In a literal sense, history is watching. History is watching. Just like history watched 3 years ago on January 6th, when insurrectionists stormed this very Capitol and placed a dagger to the throat of American democracy. Many of you were here on that darkest of days. We all saw with our own eyes the insurrectionists were not patriots. They'd come to stop the peaceful transfer of power, to overturn the will of the people. January 6th lies about the 2020 election and the plots to steal the election posed a great, gravest threat to U.S. democracy since the Civil War.
Rough.
But they failed.
All right, he backed off.
America stood.
Whose arm is that?
America stood
That's a cane.
strong,
Holding
and
their cane up.
democracy prevailed. We must be honest. The threat to democracy must be defended. My predecessor and some of you here seek to bury the truth about January 6th. I will not do that. This is the moment to speak the truth and to bury the lies. Here's the simple truth. You can't love your country only when you win.
I think that's a really good line. Biden's used it before. You can't love your country only when you win. I think that's a really good line. By the way, interesting here. A lot of democracy focus, right? Democracy in Ukraine, democracy in the United States. Kind of interesting.
Ever since being elected to office, I ask all of you without regard to party to join together and defend democracy. Remember your oath of office of defending against all threats, foreign and domestic. Respect free and fair elections, restore trust in our institutions, and make clear political violence has absolutely no place in America, zero place.
I always wonder, like,
Again.
do you feel like you have to stand because everybody else does? You don't get guilted into the
It's not.
standing ovation.
It's not
hate that.
hyperbole.
You're like,
It's a
yeah,
gift.
it's fine.
History
Like
is
you're at a
watching.
show.
We're watching. Your children and grandchildren will read about this day and what we do. History is watching another assault on freedom. Joining us tonight is Latoya Beasley, a social worker from Birmingham, Alabama. 14 months ago, she and her husband welcomed a baby girl thanks to the miracle of IVF. She scheduled treatments to have that second child. But the Alabama Supreme Court shut down IVF treatments across the state, unleashed by a Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade. She was told her dream would have to wait. What her family had got through should never have happened. Unless Congress acts, it could happen again. So tonight, let's stand up for families like hers. To my friends across the aisle, don't keep this waiting any longer.
So that is an absolute political
Guarantee the
winner.
right
IVF
to
and
IVF.
abortion. You're going to hear a ton about it, right? Republicans know the Alabama Supreme Court decision about IVF or about embryos was a huge political problem. The state legislature tried to fix it. Biden obviously accentuating it tonight. You are going to hear a ton about
Like most
IVF and Roe v.
Americans, I
Wade.
believe Roe v.
Tons.
Wade got it right.
Terrible issue for Republicans.
I thank Vice President Harris for being an incredible leader, defending reproductive freedom, and so much more.
That gray-haired woman, by the way, is Catherine Clark, who is the second in command, I think, in
My
House
predecessor
Democrats
came
now.
to office determined to see Roe v. Wade overturned. He's the reason it was overturned, and he brags about it. Look at the chaos that has resulted. Joining us tonight is Kate Cox, the wife and mother from Dallas. She's become pregnant again and had a fetus with a fatal condition. Her doctor told Kate that her own life and her ability to have children in the future were at
Biden's
risk.
going to do something,
shouldn't
by the
act.
way, what he just did. He does that
Because
sometimes.
Texas
He
law
fumbles a little bit.
banned her ability to act
Not
Kate and her husband had to
nightmare
leave
by
the
any
state
means, but
to get
it
what she
happens.
needed. What her family got through should have never happened as well, but it's
Where's
happening
Maria
to too many
Shriver?
others. There are state laws banning the freedom to choose, criminalizing doctors, forcing survivors of rape and incest to leave their states to get the treatment they need. Many of you in this chamber and my predecessor are promising to pass a national ban on reproductive freedom. My God, what freedom else would you take away? Look,
I think that was
the
supposed to be a
decision
bigger
to
applause
overturn
line,
Roe
but he
v.
said,
Wade,
"My
the Supreme
freedom
Court
else
majority
would you
wrote the
take away?"
following.
Not great.
And with all due respect, justices, women are not without electoral power. Electoral or political power. You're about to realize just how much you get brought about that.
I mean, it's a good line. Women are not without electoral and political power, but he sort of fumbled it there a little bit. But it's a good line. It's a good line. And look, again, we're going to be talking about abortion, IVF, a ton in this election. There's the king again.
Those
Whose cane is
bragging
that?
about overturning Roe v. Wade have no clue about the power of women. But they found out when reproductive freedom was on the ballot. We won in 2022 and 2020, and we'll win again in 2024.
It's interesting. Wow, so awkward to be a Supreme Court justice. You just going to sit there. There's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. They just keep flashing to him while they're just
If you,
sitting
the
there
American
awkwardly.
people, send me a Congress that supports the right to choose, I promise you, I'll restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land again. Folks, America cannot go back. I'm here tonight to show what I believe is the way forward, because I know how far we come. 4 years ago next week, before I came to office, the country was hit by the worst pandemic and the worst economic crisis in a century. Remember the fear, record losses? Remember the spikes in crime and the murder rate, raging virus that took more than 1 million American lives, of loved ones, millions left behind? A mental health crisis of isolation and loneliness. A president, my predecessor, failed the most basic presidential duty that he owes to American people, the duty to care. I think that's unforgivable. I came to office determined to get us through one of the toughest periods in the nation's history. We have.
And Mike
it doesn't make news, but news in 1,000 cities and towns. The American people are writing the greatest comeback story never told.
I think so. When Biden was doing that COVID riff, someone yelled out "liar" or something like it
here.
over on the left of him, which is the Republicans.
America's comeback is building the future of American possibilities, building an economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down, investing in all America, in all Americans, to make sure everyone has a fair shot. We leave no one behind. The pandemic no longer controls our lives. The vaccines that saved us from COVID are now being used to beat cancer, turning setback into comeback. That's what America does. That's what America does.
Hey, Mike Johnson clapped. Setback into comeback. He clapped, by the way, about vaccines and the vaccine technology and how that is helping not just COVID, but with cancer as well.
Now our economy is literally the envy of the world. 15 million new jobs in just 3 years, a record. A record. Unemployment at 50-year lows.
Mike Johnson's
Record
look is
16
probably
million Americans are starting small businesses, and each one is a literal act of hope. With historic job growth and small business growth for Black and Hispanics and Asian Americans, 800,000 new manufacturing jobs in America and counting. Where is it written we can't be the manufacturing capital of the world? We are. We will. More people have health insurance today. More people have health insurance today than ever before. The racial wealth gap is as small as it's been in 20 years. Wages keep going up. Inflation keeps coming down. Inflation has dropped from 9% to 3%, the lowest in the world and tending lower.
Mike Johnson disagrees. There's Byron
The landing
Donald,
is and will be
potential
soft.
VP.
And now, instead of importing foreign products and exporting American jobs, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs right here in America, where they belong.
Very campaigning speech thus far. I know I put it in the chat, but very political speech. Harsh contrast with Republicans. You can tell this is an election year.
Consumer studies show consumer confidence is soaring. Buy America has been the law of the land since the 1930s. Past administrations, including my predecessor, including some Democrats as well in the past, failed to buy American. Not anymore. On my watch, federal projects that you fund, like helping build American roads, bridges, and highways, will be made with American products and built by American workers.
Mike Johnson definitely has been more in sorrow than anger look going. Again, I do wonder if they practice these kind of things because they know they're going to be on TV the whole night, right? Will Mike Johnson stand at any point to applaud? That's a good question.
The United States is investing more in research and development than ever before. During the pandemic, a shortage of semiconductors, chips, that drove up the price of everything from cell phones to automobiles. And by the way, we invented those chips right here in America. Well, instead of having to import them,
love chips.
Instead of private companies are now investing billions of dollars to build new chip factories here in America, creating tens of thousands of jobs. Many of those jobs paying $100,000 a year and don't require a college degree.
I think my favorite kind of chips are, I know this is basic, Doritos.
$650 billion in private sector investment in clean energy, advanced manufacturing, creating tens of thousands of jobs here in America.
I should have a water, by the way. Like, there's no way you can give a speech this long and not be drinking water. Marco Rubio. Never forget. Remember when you did this?
Law, 46,000 new projects have been announced all across your communities.
Favorite Batman villain?
By the way, I noticed some of you strongly voted against it, or they're cheering on that money coming in. I like it. I'm with you. I'm with you. If any of you don't want that money in your district, just let me know. Modernize our roads and bridges, ports and airports, public transit systems. Removing poisonous lead pipes so every child can drink clean water without risk of brain damage. Providing affordable high-speed internet for every American, no matter where you live, urban, suburban, or rural communities, in red states and blue states. Record investments in tribal communities. Because of my investment in a family farm.
By the way, I would think, like, we're 20 minutes in, Biden's got great energy. Like, I don't think Democrats have couldn't ask for anything more.
Anybody I know.
He stumbled a few times.
We're better able to stay in the family for those farms and their children and grandchildren won't have to leave home to make a living. It's transformative. The great comeback story is Belvedere, Illinois, home to an auto plant for nearly 60 years. Before I came to office, the plant was on its way to shutting down. Thousands of workers feared for their livelihoods. Hope was fading. Then I was elected to office, and we raised the Belvedere repeatedly with auto companies knowing unions would make all the difference. UAW worked like hell to keep the plant open and get these jobs back, and together we succeeded. Instead of auto factories shutting down, auto factories reopening, and new state-of-the-art battery factories being built to power those cars there at the same.
I didn't understand what he said there at the end, but he swallows his words, which I do think is a function of being a childhood stutterer. But he does have that habit of swallowing his words.
Being left behind, your community is moving forward again, because instead of watching auto jobs in the future go overseas, 4,000 union jobs with higher wages are building the future in Belvedere right here in America.
Did you watch that show, Mr. Belvedere, as a kid? I love that show. He was like he had like a foster family. Mr. Belvedere. He always wore
Sean Fain, a great friend and a great labor leader. Sean, where are you? Stand up.
That's the president of the United Auto Workers, Sean Fain.
And Dawn,
Hakeem Jeffries, Catherine Clark.
and Dawn Sims, a third generation.
Oh, yes,
worker,
Sam. He did live with
UAW
Bob
worker at
Uecker.
Belvedere.
Mr. Belvedere, yes.
Sean, I was proud to be the first president to stand on the picket line. And today, Dawn has a good job in her hometown, providing stability for her family and pride and dignity as well. Showing once again, Wall Street didn't build America. They're not bad guys. They didn't build it, though. The middle class built the country, and unions built the middle class.
Interesting there. Biden says he doesn't totally trash big business. He says they're not bad people, but he says they didn't build America. So, you know, it's not as populist, not purely populist,
I say to the
but
American
kind of
people,
interesting.
when America gets knocked down, we get back up. We keep going. That's America. That's you, the American people. It's because of you America's coming back. It's because of you our future is bright. It's because of you that tonight we can proudly say the state of our union is strong and getting stronger.
Okay, there it is. The state of our union is strong and getting stronger.
Tonight,
The chanting of 4 more
I
years
wanna
makes
talk
clear
about
like
the
this is
future of
clearly a political
possibilities.
campaign speech, right?
that we can build together. A future where the days of trickle-down economics are over and the wealthy and the biggest corporations no longer get all the tax breaks.
Something
And by the way, I understand
DOO
corporations. I come from a state
Anyone?
that has more corporations
Anyone?
invested than every one of your states in the state of the United States combined. And I represented it for 36 years. I'm not anti-corporation, but I grew up in a home where trickle-down economics didn't put much on my dad's kitchen table. That's why I determined to turn things around so middle class does well. When they do well, the poor go way up and the wealthy still do very well. We all do well. And there's more to do to make sure you're feeling the benefits of all we're doing. Americans pay more for prescription drugs than anywhere in the world. It's wrong, and I'm ending it.
All right. Wow, there's been a lot of applause now. I wish we could cut like half the standing ovation. It just wastes so much time.
Well, I proposed and signed, not one of you Republican buddies voted for it. We finally beat Big
Tammy
Pharma.
Cochran said the Mike Johnson memes tomorrow
Instead
are
of
going to be awesome. I
paying
was thinking the same
$400 a
thing.
month or thereabouts for insulin with diabetes, and it only costs $10 to make, they only get paid $35 a month now and still make a healthy profit. And I want to, but what to do next? I want to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for every American who needs it. Everyone.
Hey, Mike Johnson nodding. Okay.
For years, people have talked about it, but finally we got it done and gave Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices on prescription drugs.
More. I like
Just
this
like the
from
VA is
Minnesota and
able to do
whatnot.
for
More
veterans.
needless, excessive applause than a Dave Matthews.
That's
Day
not just
concert.
saving seniors
Amen.
money. It's saving taxpayers money. We cut the federal deficit by $160 billion.
He did not have a mask on before, right?
Because Medicare will no longer have to pay those exorbitant prices to Big Pharma. This year, Medicare is negotiating lower prices for some of the costliest drugs on the market to treat everything from heart disease to arthritis. It's now time to go further and give Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices for 500 different drugs over the next decade.
So folks, I think we're in kind of the like I'm
They're making
proposing
a
a
lot
bunch
of money,
of policy
guys.
proposals as part of the speech.
And they'll
This is what a
still be
State of the Union
extremely
usually
profitable.
is, just a bunch of patchwork
Will
of
not only
policy
save
proposals.
lives, it will
Prescription
save
drugs
taxpayers
starting off.
another $200 billion. Starting next year, the same law caps total prescription drug costs for seniors on Medicare at $2,000 a year, even for expensive cancer drugs that cost $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. Now I want to cap prescription drug costs at $2,000 a year for everyone.
We can use more crowd shots, to be totally honest. I know we got to show Biden, but like I like the good crowd shot. I like a reaction shot. I always wonder
I'm
what
going to
Marjorie
get in trouble
Taylor
for
Greene's
saying that,
doing
but
right
anyone
now.
to get an Air Force One and fly to Toronto, Berlin, Moscow, even Moscow, probably. And bring your prescription with you, and I promise you I'll get it for you for 40% the cost you're paying now. Same company, same drug,
He obviously
same
didn't say
place.
Moscow there.
Folks, the Affordable Care Act, the old Obamacare, is still a very big deal.
Chuck. That was Gene Shaheen.
Over 100 million of you can no longer be denied health insurance because of pre-existing condition. But my predecessor, and many in this chamber, want to take this prescription drug away by repealing Affordable Care Act. I'm not going to let that happen.
Oh, stage whisper. I'm not gonna let that
We
happen.
stopped you 50 times before we will stop you again.
Unhappy. By the way, folks, is this okay with
fact,
my
I'm not
commentary?
only protecting
I hope
it,
I'm
I'm
not being
expanding
distracting.
it.
If I am, tell me.
They enacted tax credits of $800 per person per year, reduce healthcare costs for millions of working families. That tax credit expires next year. I want to make that savings permanent. To state the obvious, women are more than half our population, but research on women's health has always been underfunded. That's why we're launching the first ever White House initiative on women's health research, led by Jill, doing an incredible job as First Lady.
Maria Shriver, Joe Biden handhold. It's kind of awkward.
So
I don't
pass
know.
my plan for $12 billion to transfer women's health research and benefit millions of lives all across America. I know the cost of housing is so important to you. If inflation keeps coming down, mortgage rates will come down as well, and the Fed acknowledges that. But I'm not waiting. I want to provide an annual tax credit
I still want to know
that
who
will give
yelled
Americans
liar.
$400 a month for the next 2 years as mortgage rates come down, to put toward their mortgages when they buy their first home or trade up for a little more space. Just for 2 years.
By the way, Dragonfire makes the point with Biden squinting too much. He does squint a lot. That's just a thing he does. Always has. Always, So
And my
yes, he is,
administration
but it's a thing he does.
is also eliminating title insurance on federally backed mortgages. When you refinance your home, you can save $1,000 or more as a consequence.
I'm Team Joel.
For millions of
Most people
renters,
ask me about Mr. Science.
we're
Theater
cracking down
3000.
on big landlords who use antitrust law, who break antitrust laws by price fixing and driving up rents. We've cut red tape so builders can get federally
It's one person
financing,
clapping.
which is already helping build a record 1.7 million new housing units nationwide. Now pass. Now pass and build and renovate 2 million affordable homes and bring those rents down.
The rent is too damn high.
To remain the strongest economy in the world, we need to have the best education system in the world.
This is interesting. Russ Walker. Chris, I hope it's that Russ Walker. If it is, hi, Russ.
suspect all
I
of
just
you
saw an alert that some government websites are
want to
offline,
give a
including
child,
DHS
every
and ICE.
child, a good
Interesting.
start by providing access to preschool for 3 and 4 years old. I think I pointed out
Mark
last
Kelly,
year.
Arizona, and Houston, New Hampshire. Really, in many ways, the winner of tonight is that cane that occasionally comes on camera.
That children coming from broken homes where there's no books, they're not read to, not spoken to very often, start school, kindergarten, or first grade, having heard 1 million fewer words spoken. Well, studies show that children who go to preschool are nearly 50% more likely to finish high school, go on to earn a 2- and 4-year degree, no matter what their background is. Patrick
Bennett, I could use the beer right about now.
I met a year and a half ago with the leaders of the Business Roundtable.
The
They were
Kane
mad
apparently
that
has
they
a
were
Twitter account.
angry.
Of course.
Well, they were discussing
Love the internet.
why I wanted to spend money on education. I pointed out to them as vice president, I met with over I think it was 182 of those folks. Don't hold me to the exact number. And I asked them what they need most, the CEOs. And you've had the same experience on both sides of the aisle. They say a better educated workforce, right? So I looked at them and I say, I come from Delaware. DuPont used to be the 8th largest corporation in the world. And every new enterprise they bought, they educated the workforce to that enterprise. But none of you do that anymore. Why are you angry with me providing you the opportunity for the best educated workforce in the world? And they all looked at me and said, I think you're right. I want to expand high quality tutoring and summer learning to see that every child learns to read by 3rd grade.
I gotta do that thing that politicians do. Trump does this all the time. It's absurd, but Biden just did it where like you tell a story where like you're the hero, and they say like, "Man, you're the best."
Local businesses in high school.
You were right.
So students get hands-on experience and a path to good-paying job, whether or not they go to college. And I want to make sure the college is more affordable. Let's continue increasing the Pell Grants to working and middle-class families and increase record investments in HBCUs and minority-serving institutions, including Hispanic institutions.
So I'd say first 15 minutes really good. This is sort of the more workmanlike part of the speech.
I was told I
He's
couldn't
just going through a
universally
bunch of
just change the way in which
it's hard to make
dealt
this
with
super
student loans.
engaging, to be
I
honest.
fixed 2 student loan programs that already existed to reduce the burden of student debt for nearly 4 million Americans, including nurses, firefighters, and others in public service. Like Keenan Jones, a public educator from Minnesota, who's here with us tonight. Keenan, where are you? Keenan, thank you. He's educated hundreds of students so they can go to college. Now he's able to help, after debt forgiveness, get his own daughter to college.
This is the thing that Reagan started, by the way, just in case you're interested. Reagan brought people into his
Folks,
box and then told stories about them to try to humanize like the policies he's
Such
talking
relief is
about.
good
So
for
that
the
you have Reagan to
economy
thank
because
for,
folks are now
for
able
this.
to buy a
Every
home,
president does it.
start a business, start a family. While we're at it, I want to give public school teachers a raise.
Robin Miller says, I'm a little over half Biden's age and he's way more energetic than me. I agree, man. It's 10 o'clock on the East Coast. Man, I'm tired. Crazy.
And by the way, the first couple of years, we cut the deficit. Now, let me speak to the question of fundamental fairness for all Americans. I've been delivering real results in fiscally responsible ways. We've already cut the federal deficit. We've already cut the federal deficit over $1 trillion. I signed the bipartisan deal to cut another $1 trillion in the next decade.
Dude, the standing
My
ovations.
goal to cut the federal deficit another $3 trillion by making big corporations and very wealthy finally beginning to pay their fair share.
AOC.
Look,
That's 2
I'm a
AOC
You
shots
want to
tonight,
make it
as
to
far as
make
I
a
can
million or millions of bucks, that's great. Just pay your fair share in taxes. A fair tax code is how we invest things and make the country great. Healthcare, education, defense, and so much more. But here's the deal. The last administration enacted a $2 trillion tax cut, overwhelmingly benefit the top 1%, the very wealthy and the biggest corporations,
Mike Johnson.
and exploded
Born
the
sorrow than
federal
anger.
deficit. They added more to the national debt than any presidential term in American history.
Dr. Ronnie. Did everybody see Dr. Ronnie
Check
Jackson?
the numbers.
That was him.
Folks at home,
Dr.
does anybody
Ronnie.
really think the tax
That can
code
feel
is
good.
fair? Do you really think the wealthy and big corporations need another $2 trillion tax break? I sure don't.
No.
I'm going to keep fighting like hell to make it fair. Under my plan, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay additional penny in federal taxes. Nobody, not one penny. And they haven't yet.
Camilla Jayapal, the head of the Progressive Caucus.
In fact,
That's her.
The child tax credit I passed during the pandemic cut taxes for millions of working families and cut child poverty in half. Restore that child tax credit. No child should go hungry in this country. The way to make the tax code fair is to make big corporations and the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Remember in 2020, 55 of the biggest companies in America made $40 billion and paid zero in federal income tax. Zero. Not anymore. Thanks to the law I wrote and we signed, big companies have to pay a minimum of 15%. But that's still less than working people pay in federal taxes. It's time to raise corporate minimum tax to at least 21%. So every big
Republican. Look at there's Marjorie Taylor Greene.
begins to
I can
pay
tell
their
because
fair
she has a
share.
hat on in the House
Also
chamber.
want to end tax breaks for big pharma, big
Yeah.
oil, private
Think she
jets,
wants,
massive executive pay
attention?
when it's only supposed to be $1 million that could be deducted. They can pay them $20 million if they want, but deduct $1 million. End it now. You know, there are 1,000 billionaires in America. You know what the average federal tax is for those billionaires? No. They're making great sacrifices, 8.2%. That's far less than the vast majority of Americans pay. No billionaire should pay a lower federal tax rate than a teacher, a sanitation worker, or a nurse.
He looks happy to be there. That's Betty Thompson from Mississippi. Rubio. Look, I'm going to do a quick Rubio impersonation.
I propose a minimum tax for
that
billionaires
good?
of 25%, just 25%. You know what that would raise? That would raise $500 billion over the next 10 years. And imagine what that could do for America. Imagine a future with affordable child care. Millions of families can get they need to go to work to help grow the economy. Imagine a future with paid leave, because no one should have to choose between working and taking care of their sick family member. Imagine
There's
the
no
future of
heaven.
home care,
It's not hard to
elder
do.
care, and people living
No
with
hell below us.
disabilities, so they
All
can
that's only
stay in their
sky.
homes and family caregivers can finally get the pay they deserve. Tonight, let's all agree once again to stand up for seniors. Many of my friends on the other side of the aisle want to put Social Security on the chopping block. If anyone here tries to cut Social Security, Medicare, or raise the retirement age, I will stop you.
Good line. I will stop you.
The working people who built this country pay more into Social Security than millionaires and billionaires do. It's not fair. We have two ways to go. Republicans can cut Social Security and give more tax breaks to the wealthy. That's the proposal.
Mike
no.
Johnson not happy.
You guys don't want another $2 trillion tax cut? I kind of thought that's what your plan was.
Who is? Did you guys just see
good to
that guy?
hear.
He has on a
You're not going to
American
cut
flag
another
bow
$2
tie
trillion to the
with
super
a
wealthy.
shirt
That's
that
good
says
to hear.
"Never surrender," and it's Donald Trump's.
I'll protect and strengthen Social
mugshot?
Security and make the wealthy pay their
Is that a
fair
member of
share.
Congress?
Look,
The cutaway shots of Republicans.
raise prices to pad their profits, charging more and more for less and less. That's why we're cracking down on corporations that engage in price gouging and deceptive pricing, from food to healthcare to housing. In fact, the snack companies think you won't notice if they change the size of the bag and put a hell of a lot fewer, same size bag, put fewer chips in it. No, I'm not joking. It's called shrinkflation. Pass Bobby Casey's bill and stop this.
Look at that. Good work by Stacey. And that's Bob Casey right there from Pennsylvania. Shrinkflation. Hey, he said your name. That was amazing.
We probably all saw that commercial on Snickers bars. You get charged the same amount, and you got about, 10% fewer Snickers in it. Look, I'm also getting rid of junk fees. Those hidden fees at the end of your bill that are there without your knowledge. My administration announced we're cutting credit card late fees from $32 to $8. Banks and credit card companies are allowed to charge what it costs them to instigate the collection. And that's more a hell of a lot like $8 and 30 some dollars. They don't like it. Credit card companies don't like it. But I'm saving American families $20 billion a year with all the junk fees I'm eliminating. Folks at home, that's why the banks are mad, is $20 billion in profit. I'm not stopping there. My administration has proposed rules to make cable, travel, utilities, and online ticket sellers tell you the total price up front so there are no surprises. It matters. It matters. And so does this. In November, my team began serious negotiation with a bipartisan group of senators. The result was a bipartisan bill with the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen.
Okay, here's the border.
Oh, you don't think so?
Fight. That's James Lankford, who tried to pass the border bill.
Oh, you don't like that bill, huh? That conservatives got together and said it was a good bill? I'll be darned. That's amazing. That bipartisan bill would hire 1,500 more security agents and officers, 100 more immigration judges, help tackle the backload of 2 million cases, 4,300 more asylum officers, and new policies so they can resolve cases in 6 months instead of 6 years now.
True. That was James Lankford saying true. Remember, he was the Republican who, along with Chris Murphy from Connecticut, sponsored the bipartisan immigration bill.
High-tech drug detection machines to significantly increase the ability to screen and stop vehicles smuggling fentanyl into America. That's killing thousands of children. This bill would save lives and bring order to the border. It will also give me and any new president new emergency authority to temporarily shut down the border when the number of migrants at the border is overwhelming. The Border Patrol Union endorsed this bill. The Federal Chamber of Commerce is, yeah. You're saying low. Look at the facts. I know you know how to read. I believe that given the opportunity for a majority in the House and Senate would endorse the bill as well, a majority right now. But unfortunately, politics has derailed this bill so far. I'm told my predecessor called members of Congress in the Senate to demand they block the bill. He feels political win. He viewed it as a political win for me and a political loser for him. It's not about him. It's not about me. I'd be a winner. Not really. I
think that's Marjorie Taylor Greene who just yelled. He does have water. He's going, yeah, it is her.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself.
Oh, God.
I understand. But look, if we change the dynamic at the border,
Lincoln Riley.
People pay these smugglers $8,000 to get across the border.
Whatever.
Because they know if they get by and let into the country, it's 6 to 8 years before they have a hearing. And it's worth taking the chance of the $8,000. But if it's only 6 weeks, the idea is it's highly unlikely that people will pay that money and come all that way, knowing that they'll be able to be kicked out quickly.
I think
Folks,
I
would respectfully suggest my Republican friends owe it to the American people, get this bill done. We need to act now.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene got what she wanted there, which is a moment that's going to get played over and over and over again of her going back and forth with Biden. Great for her base. She'll raise a ton of money off of it. Bad for democracy, but that's what she wanted.
Instead of paying politics and pressuring members of Congress to block the bill, join me in telling the Congress to pass it. We can do it together. But that's what he apparently here's what he will not do. I will not demonize immigrants saying they are poison in the blood of our country. I will not separate families. I will not ban people because of their faith. Unlike my predecessor on my first day in office, I introduced a comprehensive bill to fix our immigration system. Take a look at it. It has all these and more. Secure the border. Provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, and so much more. But unlike my predecessor, I know who we are as Americans.
We talked a lot about Trump.
We're the only nation in the world with a heart and soul that draws from old and new. Home to Native Americans, and ancestors have been here for thousands of years. Home to people of every place, from every place on earth. They came freely. Some came in chains. Some came when famine struck, like my ancestral family in Ireland. Some to flee persecution, to chase dreams that are impossible anywhere but here in America. That's America. And we all come from somewhere, but we're all Americans.
Oh, Kaboko, who's asking what's the cane reference. Every once in a while on the right side of the screen, there's a, you can see him holding up right now. I think it's Al Green from Texas. He has a cane and he holds it up, and
we can fight about fixing the border, or we can fix it. I'm ready to fix it. Send me the border bill now. A transformational moment in history happened 59 years ago today in Selma, Alabama. Hundreds of foot soldiers for justice marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, named after the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, to claim their fundamental right to vote. They were beaten, they were bloody, and left for dead. Our late friend and former colleague, John Lewis, was on that march. We miss him.
Whether you agree with John Lewis or not, John Lewis is an American hero for what he did in the civil rights movement, right? I think we can all agree on that. At least we should be able to. Oh, Kane!
Our other marches, both in the gallery and on the floor, including Betty Mae Fikes, known as the voice of Selma, the daughter of gospel singers and preachers. She sang songs of prayer and protest on that bloody Sunday.
Like Johnson
helped
stood
shake
for
the
John
nation's
Lewis, by the way.
conscience. 5 months later, the Voting Rights Act passed and was signed into law. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Mike Johnson standing again.
But 59 years later, their forces taking us back in time. Voter suppression, election subversion, unlimited dark money, extreme gerrymandering. John Lewis is a great friend to many of us here. But if you truly want to honor him and all the heroes who marched with him, then it's time to do more than talk. Pass the Freedom to Vote Act, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act.
Still think it'd be super awkward to be in the Supreme Court and in the military high command where you're just sitting there. You can't clap, you can't do anything.
Stop denying another core value of America, our diversity across American life. Banning books, it's wrong. Instead of erasing history, let's make history. I want to protect fundamental rights. Pass the Equality Act. And my message to transgender Americans, I have your back.
Give it to Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Pass
That
the
hat
PRO
really
Act
does stand
for
out.
workers' rights. Raise the federal minimum wage, because every worker has a right to a decent living more than $7 an hour. We're also making history by confronting the climate crisis, not denying it. I don't think any of you think there's no longer a climate crisis. At least I hope you don't. I'm taking the most significant action ever on climate in the history of the world. I'm cutting our carbon emissions in half by 2030, creating tens of thousands of clean energy jobs, like the IBW work is building and installing 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations. Conserving 30% of America's lands and waters by 2030. And taking action on environmental justice fence line communities smothered by the legacy of pollution. And pattern after the Peace Corps and AmeriCorps, I launched the Climate Corps to put 20,000 young people to work in the forefront of our clean energy future. I'll triple that number in a decade. To state the obvious, all Americans deserve the freedom to be safe. And America is safer today than when I took office. Year before I took office, murder rates went up 30%. 30% they went up. The biggest increase in history. It was then, through my American Rescue Plan, which every American voted against, I might add, we made the largest investment in public safety ever. Last year, the murder rate saw the sharpest decrease in history. Violent crime fell to one of its lowest levels in more than 50 years. But we have more to do. We have to help cities invest in more community police officers, more mental health workers, more community violence intervention.
So I think that was
give communities the tool to crack down on
not a
gun
member
crime,
of Congress.
retail
I couldn't
crime,
hear what he was saying. It
carjacking.
sounded like Rosie Perez to me, and I'm sure he wasn't saying Rosie Perez. But that was not a member of Congress.
On police reform and calling for it to be the law of the land. Directing my cabinet to review the federal classification of marijuana and expunging thousands of convictions for the mere possession, because no one should be jailed for simply using or have it on their record. Take on crimes of domestic violence. I'm ramping up the Federal Enforcement of the Violence Against Women Act that I proudly wrote when I was a senator, so we can finally end the scourge against women in America.
Well, again, if you're grading by not so much on what he says, but how he says and how he looks pretty energetic.
With us tonight is
right?
Jasmine.
Like, he looks like
his 9-year-old
somebody
sister
who could
Jackie was
do the
murdered
job.
with 21 classmates and teachers in an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Very soon after that happened, Jill and I went to Uvalde for a couple of days. We spent hours and hours with each of the families. We heard their message, so everyone in this room, in this chamber, could hear the same message. The constant refrain, and I was there for hours meeting with every family. They said, do something. Do something. Well, I did do something by establishing the first ever Office of Gun Violence Prevention in the White House, that the Vice President is leading the charge. Thank you for doing it. Meanwhile,
By the way, folks, go subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Please. I need the subscribers. Do it. Hey, we're almost at 300 people watching. That's awesome, even though it's 10, 20 at night. Love it. Let's grow
the
it.
NRA. He's proud he did nothing on guns when he was president. Oof. After another shooting in Iowa recently, he said, when asked what to do about it, he said, just get over it. There's his quote, just get over it. I say, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it.
Man, the memes on Mike Johnson are going to be out of control tomorrow.
I'm proud we beat the NRA when I signed the most significant gun safety law in nearly 30 years because of this Congress. We now must beat the NRA again. I'm demanding a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Pass universal background checks. None of this. I taught the Second Amendment for 12 years. None of this violates the Second Amendment or vilifies responsible gun owners. You know, as we manage challenges at home, we're also managing crises abroad, including in the Middle East. I know the last 5 months have been gut-wrenching for so many people, for the Israeli people, for the Palestinian people, and so many here in America.
Interesting. He's
This
doing
crisis
Russia
began on
at the
October
top, he's
7th
doing Israel
with
now.
a massacre
an hour
by a
in.
terrorist group called Hamas, as you all know. 1,200 innocent people, women and girls, men and boys, slaughtered after enduring sexual violence. The deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust, and 250 hostages taken. Here in this chamber tonight are families whose loved ones are still being held by Hamas. I pledge to all the families that we will not rest until we bring every one of your loved ones home. We also
Bipartisan agreement, not surprising, but bipartisan agreement nonetheless. Mike Johnson showing that he can, in fact, stand.
will also work around the clock to bring home Evan and Paul, Americans being unjustly detained by the Russians and others around the world. Israel has the right to go after Hamas.
So, that's Evan
Hamas
Gershowitz's
ended this
parents, a
conflict by
Wall Street
releasing
Journal reporter
hostages,
being held by the
laying
Russians.
down arms, could end it by releasing the hostages, laying down arms, and surrendering those responsible for October 7th. But Israel has Israel has a added burden because Hamas hides and operates among the civilian population like cowards under hospitals, daycare centers, and all the like. Israel also has a fundamental responsibility, though, to protect innocent civilians in Gaza. This war has taken a greater toll on innocent civilians than all previous wars in Gaza combined. More than 30,000 Palestinians have been killed, most of whom are not Hamas. Thousands and thousands of innocent women and children, girls and boys, also orphaned. Nearly 2 million more Palestinians under bombardment or displacement. Homes destroyed, neighborhoods in rubble, cities in ruin. Families without food, water, medicine. It's heartbreaking. I've been working nonstop to establish an immediate ceasefire that would last for 6 weeks to get all the prisoners released, all the hostages released, to get the hostages home and ease the intolerable and humanitarian crisis and build toward something more enduring. The United States has been leading international efforts to get more humanitarian assistance to Gaza. Tonight, I'm directing the U.S. military to lead an emergency mission to establish a temporary pier in the Mediterranean on the coast of Gaza that can receive large shipments carrying food, water, medicine, and temporary shelters. No U.S. boots will be on the ground. A temporary pier will enable a massive increase in the amount of humanitarian assistance getting into Gaza every day.
Still a lot of Republicans not standing and clapping for that, which is interesting to me.
Israel must allow more aid into Gaza to ensure humanitarian workers aren't caught in the crossfire. And they're announcing they're going to have a crossing in northern Gaza.
Almost at the hour mark, 58 minutes.
Israel, I say this: humanitarian assistance cannot be a secondary consideration or a bargaining chip. Protecting and saving innocent lives has to be a priority. As we look to the future,
Diana Presley,
the only real solution to the situation is a two-state solution over time. And I say this as a lifelong supporter of Israel. My entire career, no one has a stronger record with Israel than I do. I challenge any of you here. I'm the only American president to visit Israel in wartime, but there is no other path that guarantees Israel's security and democracy. There is no other path that guarantees that Palestinians can live in peace with peace and dignity. And there's no other path that guarantees peace between Israel and all of its neighbors, including Saudi Arabia, with whom I'm talking. Creating stability in the Middle East also means containing the threat posed by Iran. That's why I built a coalition of more than a dozen countries to defend international shipping, freedom of navigation in the Red Sea. I've ordered strikes to degrade the Houthi capability and defend U.S. forces in the region.
Getting tired.
As Commander-in-Chief, I will not hesitate
Biden isn't.
to direct further measures to protect our people and our military personnel.
Chris, Chief Chris Rader, when is the next watch party? I don't know. You guys tell me. Like, do you like doing this?
For years.
I do. I'm happy to do it
I've
more.
heard
We
many
just
of
got
my
to find some
Republican
event
and
to do it.
Democratic
Let me know.
friends say that China is on the rise and America's falling behind. They've got it backwards. I've been saying it for over 4 years, even when I wasn't president. America's rising. We have the best economy in the world. And since I've come to office, our GDP is up, our trade deficit with China is down to the lowest point in over a decade. And we're standing up against China's unfair economic practices. We're standing up for
Eric
peace and
Swalwell.
stability across the Taiwan Straits. I've revitalized our partnership and alliance in the Pacific.
For the record, I did not doze off.
India.
I'm wide awake.
Australia, Japan, South Korea, Pacific Islands. I've made sure that the most advanced American technologies can't be used in China, not allowing to trade them there.
By the way, I haven't
Frankly,
eaten dinner, so I'm
for
sort of
all
hungry
this tough
right
talk
now.
on China, it never occurred to my
10:30 on the
predecessor to
East
do
Coast.
any of that. I want competition with China, not conflict. And we're in a stronger position to win the conflict of the 21st century against China than anyone else, for that matter, than any time as well. Here at home,
That made no sense.
I've signed over 400 bipartisan bills. There's more to pass my unity agenda. Strengthen penalties on fentanyl trafficking. You don't want to do that, huh?
I love how Biden engages.
Pass bipartisan privacy legislation to protect our children online.
Interesting.
Harness.
Like, somebody
Harness
said,
the
like,
promise of
boo.
AI
and
to
he
protect
said,
us
you don't
from
want to do
peril.
that, huh? Interesting.
Ban AI voice impersonations and more. And keep our truly sacred obligation to train and equip those we send into harm's way and care for them and their families when they come home and when they don't.
Hard to speak
That's
for an hour
why
plus and keep people
The
engaged.
song
So
Support and Hope for
hard.
Dennis and the VA. I signed the PACT Act. One of the most significant laws ever, helping millions of veterans exposed to toxins who now are battling more than 100 different cancers. Many of them don't come home, but we owe them and their families support. We owe it to ourselves to keep supporting our new health research agency called ARPA-H. And
By the way,
remind
people
us,
talking about support me.
remind us
subscribe
that
to my
we can do
Substack.
big things.
Subscribe here. I
Like
need you.
end cancer as we know it, and we will.
Am I going to do a live stream on Election Day night, November 5th? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I want to. Hey, Kane, I want to do a bunch of
Let me
these.
call
They're
for
fun.
this. Yay. I know you don't want to hear any more, Lindsay, but I got to say a few more things. I know it may not look like it, but I've been around a while.
Okay, Biden's doing age
When you get
stuff
to be
here, I
my
think.
age, certain things become clearer than ever. I know the American story. Again and again, I've seen the contest between
He's talking about
competing
Lindsey
forces in
Graham,
the
by the
battle
way.
for the soul of our nation. Between those who want to pull America back to the past and those who want to move America into the future. My lifetime has taught me to embrace freedom and democracy, a future based on core values that have defined America: honesty, decency, dignity, equality, to respect everyone, to give
I think
everyone
this
a
is part
fair
of the
shot, to
beginning
give
of the end of
hate
this
no
speech.
safe harbor. Now, other people my age see it differently. The American story of resentment, revenge, and retribution, that's not me. I was born amid World War II when America stood for the freedom of the world. I grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claymont, Delaware, among working class people who built this country. I watched in horror as two of my heroes, like many of you did, Dr. King and Bobby Kennedy, were assassinated. And their legacies inspired me to pursue a career in service. I left the law firm, became a public defender because my city of Wilmington was the only city in America occupied by the National Guard after Dr. King was assassinated because of the riots. And I became a county councilman almost by accident. I got elected to the United States Senate when I had no intention of running at age 29. Then vice president of our first black
I assume
president.
the end, by the way, folks.
Now president to the first women vice president.
Kane. Kane.
In my career, I've been told I was too young. By the way, they didn't let me on the Senate elevators for votes sometimes. Not a joke.
Not a joke. Biden
I've been told I'm too old. Whether young or old, I've always known what endures. I've known our North Star. The very idea of America is that we're all created equal, deserves to be treated equally throughout our lives. We've never fully lived up to that idea, but we've never walked away from it either. And I won't walk away from it now.
By the way, I think it's smart that Biden is talking about the age thing here. It's an issue. He has to address it. I think he's got to address it more, but I think it's smart to address it. It's not going to go away, and it's obvious for anyone watching. Oh, I got the thumb. So, yeah, I think it's smart.
Isn't how old we are. It's how old are our ideas.
Yeah.
Hate, anger, revenge, retribution are the oldest of ideas. But you can't lead America with ancient ideas that only take us back. You lead America, the land of possibilities. You need a vision for the future and what can and should be done. Tonight you've heard mine. I see a future where defending democracy, you don't diminish it. I see a future where we restore the right to choose and protect our freedoms, not take them away. I see a future where the middle class finally has a fair shot and the wealthy have to pay their fair share in taxes. I see a future where we save the planet from the climate crisis and our country from gun violence. Above all, I see a future for all Americans. I see a country for all Americans. And I will always be president for all Americans because I believe in America. I believe in you, the American people. You're the reason we've never been more optimistic about our future than I am now. So let's build the future together. Let's remember who we are. We are the United States of America. And there is nothing beyond our capacity when we act together. God bless you all, and may God protect our church.
Thank you. Done. Let me bring the sound down. Okay, so let's see. He started at 9:26. He went to 10:33, an hour and 7 minutes. So 67 minutes. He went 73 last time. Look, I said this in the chat, but I'll repeat it here. Look, if you believe, and I do, that the sort of the key here was not really what Biden said, but how he looked saying it, right? Did he look energetic? Did he look like he could do the job? Did he look like he could give an hour-long speech in front of Congress? I think the answer to that is yes. Did he stumble a little bit? Sure, a little bit. He fumbled a couple lines. But I thought it was quite good. I thought it was very smart to engage with Republican hecklers at times. I think that's smart. Shows that he can think on his feet too, not just read off the teleprompter. I guess here's what I would say. If you went into this speech wondering if Joe Biden has the energy to do the job, it's hard for me to think you came out of this speech convinced he doesn't. You could come out of it and say, like, I don't know, it was fine. But it's hard for me to think that you saw evidence in this speech that he does not have the energy for the job that he is running for. I thought it was smart to talk about age because it just is an issue. But I think he looked energetic. He engaged. He fought with Republicans. This is all the kind of stuff that I think is beneficial if you are Joe Biden. Because again, the bar he had to clear was is this guy able to do this thing, right? Does he look old? Does he look like he can't do it? Does he look bored? Is he flailing all over the place? No, he wasn't any of those things. He wasn't Barack Obama. He's not that good a speaker. But he was solid. He was energized at times. He was forceful. I think Democrats in the White House have to be happy with that speech. Look, I know Republicans will pick it apart. I'm sure they'll find things he said that were wrong and his coughing and all these sorts of things. But like the reality situation is for the average person who watched, let's say they watch 15 or 20 minutes of it, he was very forceful on Russia, Ukraine, on democracy, on January 6th. And he made the case in a very political speech, I would say, against Donald Trump, even though he didn't say Donald Trump. So yeah, I think a good speech overall. A minus, I think, for me. I'm not gonna stay up and watch the Katie Boyd Britt speech, the Republican response, because I need to eat. I'm not gonna lie. I will be back. I'm gonna try and do a live stream tomorrow. I will definitely do a video tomorrow if I don't do a live stream. So I'll do something. Again, please subscribe to this channel. Please like my videos. Please check out Substack. Just go to Chris Cillizza. That my last name is CILLIZZA.substack.com. Subscribe if you can. This is my livelihood. I need your support. I'm going to do more of these things if you guys like it. So if you like it, spread the word. Tell other people. I had fun. So have a good rest of the night. And I'm going to keep looking for opportunities to do this. So thank you to everyone who tuned in. Thank you for your comments. Thanks for sticking through the slight technical difficulties at the top. I am going to go eat and get out of this suit. And I will see you tomorrow. Thank you all so much.